Okay, in this video, the purpose of this video is to explain why powerlifting is the most efficient way to get stronger than any other method. And it should be premised that powerlifters, people that compete in powerlifting and practice powerlifting, are the strongest people in the world. So it's basically three primary exercises that the powerlifters compete in, and I'll demonstrate them right away quickly so we can understand what we're talking about. What does powerlifting mean? So the first exercise is called a squat, and this is a squat. Okay, the next exercise is a bench press. This is what we press, and here is the bench. Afterwards, I'll explain why is this the most effective and efficient way to get strong. But anyway. Okay, this is a demonstration of the bench press. And the third exercise that is used in competition is what's called the deadlift. Try to show, probiert zu beweisen, wunderbar der ganze Mod. Okay. A deadlift, it's called a deadlift because it's taken from a dead motionless spot is the motion is begun. This is it. That's the whole thing. Now, this is only 60 kilograms. A deadlift is effective in making a person strong because we use very, very heavy weights. Now, let me try to explain some of the reasons why powerlifting is the most effective way and efficient way to get strong. First of all, I want to differentiate between what's called compound exercises and isolation exercises. So, for example, come to this side. This would be known as an isolation exercise because it's isolating one muscle. The one muscle that's working is the pectoralis. It's pulling the arm in. Another example of an isolation exercise that isolates just one muscle would be, oh, this is too heavy, would be a curl. This is just working this one muscle, the bicep and the others. Okay. Now, come to the other side. One more isolation exercise. Here's another isolation exercise. It would be the tricep. This muscle is doing the motion. And that's just one muscle and one joint. All isolation exercises are limited to just moving one joint with one muscle group. A compound exercise, in contrast, in the contradistinction, would be something like a press. This is a press. Now, and this is in both the shoulder joint and the elbow joint. So the shoulder is being moved by the pectoralis and the deltoid, the front deltoid, and this is moving the elbow. So you have three muscle groups working at the same time. So that's why compound exercises, one of the reasons compound exercises are more efficient. You're using more muscle groups, more muscle mass all at once. You can lift a heavier weight, and ding, bang, boom, you've really put a tremendous stress on the body, and then you need a couple days to recover, but that's how we get stronger. Now, so in this exercise, we did just the chest, front deltoids, and the tricep, whereas opposed to the other exercises, this movement is isolation just on this. This movement is isolation just on this. Now, let's compare this press to the bench press, which is done with a barbell. In this press, the line of motion is guided by the machine. Be nice. I have no way to change the motion. Whereas when I'm doing a bench press, I'm in total control of the motion. For example, the line of motion could be directly down, or it could be on an angle down. I could go here, 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 and there's a lot of advantages. There's a lot of advantages in having a free weight. It's called a free weight, as opposed to a machine. One of them is because you have to balance the bar and keep it in line. You're working harder, and if you're working harder, you're getting more done. It's more efficient. Now, we talked about the difference between isolation exercises and compound exercises. Now, stand over here. Here is a leg press. And we'll compare a leg press to a squat. Now, in the leg press, it's completely controlled by the machine. The line of motion, I can't move my hips or my feet to any other place. They're locked in place. They're locked in the line of motion that the machine decides. The squat, in comparison, is a free weight, and so the balance of it is totally in my control. Now, and because of that, one has to learn how to do it properly, proper technique. Is in comparison to the machine, you just sit on it and it's almost impossible to do it wrong. Here it has to be done right. And once again, this is the squat. Now, in this squat, one of the differences is, compared to the leg press, that the weight is high up on my back, as opposed to just being my legs working. So I have my entire back is also involved in the exercise. Another is that when I reach bottom, so the muscles are completely stretched out, which is not the case in the leg press. So you're getting a larger range of motion, you're using more muscles because you're using your back muscles, and because it's a free weight, it takes more intensity to get it done. So that's why this is more efficient and effective. That's how the strongest people get strong, is doing squats, bench presses, and deadlifts. Now, deadlifts is an amazing exercise, because if you look at what we're doing here, the legs are lifting up, but the back, especially, this is called an Olympic. Soon I'm going to show you what an hex bar press is, deadlift. But in this Olympic bar, one of the challenges is, if you want to pull it up, you can't have your knees sticking out over, so you have to have your knees back, and then you're doing a lot of the lifting with your back. So, as opposed to the legs are doing a little bit less than with the squat. So, the other thing is, though, not only is the back working hard, but you have to have a grip. The grip is working hard. And if the muscles there are not doing anything, the bones, if it's very heavy, just get ripped out of the socket. So the muscles have to have a resistance. They have to work even statically. They're not moving. I'm not doing, this is what we call an assistance exercise of doing rows, standing rows. I'm not doing that. I'm just pulling it up with my arms. But if it's a heavy weight and it's static, even though it's static, it's still, the muscles are working. And so in this exercise, basically almost all the muscles in the body are working at once. Even the stomach muscles are needed for stability, stabilizing the spine to keep it straight as putting all that weight on. So it's a very efficient exercise. The only muscle that can be relaxed when doing this is the pectoralis and the front deltoids. But essentially all other muscles in the arms, everything is in the back, stomach, and legs, of course. Everything's working. So now, next stage I want to talk about is, I'm going to get to the hex things right away. I want to talk about the range of motion of the arms. So the arms can go all the way up, all the way down, this way, that way, circles. The shoulder joint can easily be injured because it's got such a range of motion and it's hard to get it back to normal. So it's important to do the exercises that use the shoulder in a way that's proper technique and proper weights and building up the strength. Now, since you have such a big range of motion, whether you're doing pushing or pulling, we want to eventually get a balance of doing in all the directions. We want a pushing this way and a pulling this way. We want a pushing this way and a pulling this way. We want a pushing this way and a pulling this, and all the variations. So in one single workout, we're not going to do everything. A professional competitor is going to have in his workout primarily 4 exercises, maybe 5 or 6, and he's going to do them with a great intensity, building up the weights heavier and heavier and heavier, so he gets like 3 sets of a very heavy weight, and that's it. He needs a couple days rest, recovery. So now, in terms of pulling, I have to know that we have over here these grips. Now, when I'm lifting this weight over here, I don't need these grips. It's just 60 kilograms. That's not a problem. I can lift 100 also without using grips. When I get up to 140, it becomes more difficult. So, however, if I'm putting on like heavy weight, sometimes doing 180 kilo, so then I really need these grips. And this is how it works. It goes around the bar, and then when I grip the bar, the strap is going to do a lot of the work, connecting the bar to my hand. So then I can lift up. Now, this is also not only do competitive powerlifters lift, but using straps for training so that you can lift heavier weights and hold on to the bar. But just an ordinary person, if let's say they have arthritis in their hands, or they had some kind of injury, they were a veteran in the army, they lost some fingers, whatever, then these straps are going to be very important to being able to do all the pulling movements. If a person has a weak grip, they're going to have to use straps. Now, if a person has one hand with a strong grip and one hand with a weak grip, then it's all the more important that a person is going to use straps for pulling, because the arm that has the strong grip is going to always do everything with its pulling this way, that way, and the arm that doesn't, it's not going to be used. The muscles are going to atrophy. All the muscles that work in pulling from all the directions are going to atrophy, and the body is also going to be out of balance. So we need, especially a person who has one hand a weak grip and one hand a strong grip, needs to strengthen those muscles by using this. So come over here, and we have in the regular machines, we have a few different ways of pulling. So normally, let's say I would be pulling this way. But if I have one hand that's weak, I can wrap the strap around, and then with just like 2 fingers, I can pull. Even with a weak grip, 2 fingers, I can pull, and I can pull heavier and heavier weights because the strap is holding 50-80% of the connection. My fingers are just holding a small percentage, so I don't need a strong grip. And then these muscles that are involved in the pulling, the latissimus and the rhomboids and the trapezius, all these muscles are going to be able to be exercised, develop, get stronger. Now, I'm going to bring a chair. I want to make it explain how the hex bolt is used. Okay. So this is the hex mode. And I have on here 140 kilos. But another thing I want to discuss about grips. Talking about grips now. When I'm holding the barbell, so the weight of it wants to roll out of my hands like this. So one technique that weightlifters use is they switch the grip. One hand like this and one hand like this. If it rolls out here, it goes there. So it's a stronger grip. When we're using the hex bar, we have both hands automatically are opposite each other, so that it enables, it makes the grip easier. So here would be an example of lifting the hex bar, and you can lift a lot of weight. Yeah, you need a rubber mat on the floor for that. And now, so here, how would we attach the arms? If we want to lift really heavy and we need, or we have one hand weak and we need to, so we sit down and attach the strap, get the hand ready there, then the other hand, let's say, is strong enough, doesn't need, so then we can lift up like that. Now, another great thing about the hex bar is that it's perfect for doing what is called shrugging like this. So get a picture, mach een beeld van meer van de gaaf. Weer gemaakt dus. Okay, here's shrugs. Shrugs are a very good exercise because it stimulates, it's very stimulating. There's a lot of nerves in the trapezius that are used doing activating those muscles. And so it's a good exercise to do as a warm-up before doing something with the arms like the press or the pull. So that's basically it. Now, what is the difference between a hex and an Olympic mode? Nobody competes with this. It's not as good for developing the back muscles because your legs are helping much more. But it does have some advantages. Now, one of the advantages is you can lift the heavy weight because this is already up higher than here, so I have less vertical. And obviously, with my knees, the hex bar gives me plenty of room, so I can choose how I want where I want my knees and hips to go, without being forced. With this bar, I can't just put my knees over here. How am I going to lift it over my knees? I have to bend over from the hips to do this. So this is very hard for some people, especially older people. This has an advantage that you can really strengthen the legs. This is going to work more on the back. This is very similar to the squat. But unlike the squat, you're also working your arms and your grip when you're holding this bar. This is one of the best ways to strengthen the legs, is by doing repetitions of the deadlift with this bar. Let me just give an example. A few reps. Ooh. Ooh. Getting out of breath. All right, so that's pretty much it. Hopefully, now there's also the powerlifters. That's the three exercises they compete with. Is the squat, where once again this is the squat, and the bench press, when we put the bench here lying down, and the deadlift with the Olympic. Those are the three exercises that are used for competing. But the deadlift is pulling this way, so in training, a powerlifter is also going to do some pulling from this direction. And for people who can't lift their body weight, stand here. So you can put on a machine however much or little weight you want to get started. Do the same motion. This is a pulling motion instead of pulling up my body weight. And rowing exercise. Oh, here's another one. The standing press is very good, which you can do it with a machine, but it does not compare at all to free weights. Okay, so when doing the press, the standing press, as opposed to laying on the bench, laying on the bench enables lifting more weight, and it works the muscle, the arm, in this direction, lower down. Lifting in this direction is going to work more the shoulders, and everything supporting the shoulders in the back. So, and not only that, since the entire weight is being held from the ground up by your body, so the whole body has to work in that. So it's a very intense exercise, and that's why powerlifters develop strength the fastest, most efficiently, and to the highest degree. So that pretty much sums up what I wanted to explain. All the lifts that are powerlifting are compound exercises as opposed to isolation exercises, and especially the most compound exercise of all in the world is the deadlift, because the deadlift, you're working every joint in the body. The only muscles practically they're not working is the one that move the eyebrows up and down. I mean, the ankles have to work, the calves have to work, these muscles, stomach, everything you're lifting up, you have to have the grip. Everything in the back, the lats, the whole. And if you talk about in a compound exercise, which joints are involved, this is the ankle, the knee, the hip, the entire spinal column, and the shoulders. So even if it's more or less shoulders and the back are static, they're not moving, nevertheless the muscles have to, in isolation, have to hold very firmly and balanced by the stomach muscles holding the spine firm so that it can be lifted. Otherwise, I'm going to lift up like this and my arms are not going to come up, because the only way that I'm going to lift it off the floor is if my back muscles also working. So that is the most compound exercise of all in the world, is the deadlift. And it's with the hex mode It's very effective in helping develop strength in the knees. Either that or the squat will strengthen the knees more than any machine, and more efficiently, more effectively. So that's it. I just want to hello, after my first knee surgery, so I went to physical therapy, and you got to do this exercise and that exercise. By after the second knee surgery, I was already lifting weights, and I was deadlifting with the hex bar 220 kilo. I came into the physical therapist. He says, just go back to the weight room. There's nothing more effective than that. So even for therapeutic purposes, the exercise, if you're able to do the exercises of powerlifting, there's nothing more effective for therapy and strengthening and efficiently. That's it, kids.